This is the preparation for tying the Parmachene Belle wet fly. You need a white goose quill, a red goose quill, a neck feather, red and white in color. You need a peacock herl. You need a mylar, gold on one side and silver on the other, and one with just gold. So once we take our white feather to make the wing and our red feather, we're going to marry those together. So we need to take a white feather like this one. We need one from each side of the feather, and like this one. And what we need to do with those is separate them about a third of the way up. And when you do separate them, don't use your needle to run it all the way down through there, because if you do, you'll ruin the fly. In there, we're going to put a red stripe. Not a big one, but just a small red stripe inside of it. So if I lay this right here, down in here, and get to the end here, and keep it flat, it should marry right up to this feather, just like that. And then I can bring my other feather back in and marry it up. Likewise, now I've created one half of my wing right here. Sometimes these feathers don't always marry just as easy as I think they should. So there is one side done. I'll take the other side here. Again, about a third of the way up. We'll separate it. This one don't agree with me. It don't want to go there. There we go. So that gets it to marry in. Now take the other side and put it back on. And I'll trim those up to work. The next thing we have is our tail married piece, which has white over red. So if we take a nice small piece of white, small piece of red, we can marry those together real quick, like this right here. It doesn't take much to marry up together, just like that. We could have it a little further down there if we could. And for the tail, we need a white over red pair of wings. So we're married a couple just like this right here. And we have those ready to go on there, just like this. So now we have all of our wings done. We have those laid out here. We have our peacock herl ready to go. We have our tag end ready. And we have our ribbing ready to go on there. And from here, we will trim out our hackle. And now we have our beard hackle ready to go on. It's prepared right here. So everything now is ready to go on the hook. Today, we are tying the Parmachene Belle wet fly. This fly was created sometime in the early 1900s on the Parmachenee Lake in Maine, a lake that's located just off of the Canadian border in the western part of Maine. It was created primarily to be effective for brook trout. So the first thing we want to do is lay a base down of thread to get it all the way to the bend of the hook. And then we're going to take a small piece of tinsel, silver and gold, and tie that on right here, silver side up. Then when we start wrapping, the gold side will be the side we want to see. And that will be our tag end for this fly. And as you wrap, you want to take each wrap slightly over the preceding wrap. Once I get it back up here to the bend of the hook, wrap in there to tie it off. One more wrap to secure it. Push my thread up out of the way. Next thing to go on is the tail, which is a married tail with red and white goose quills, and it should be just the length of the shank of the hook. So I'm going to bring this up and catch that at the top. As I come down, I'm going to be real careful so that I can get this in here, hold it with my thumb and index finger, and then let the bobbin pull the feather right onto the top of the hook. Then I have that where I need it, right here. I will secure that. It's locked into place. Now I can take this tag end here off. The next thing that goes on is a piece of I want to get maybe just one good wrap here of this peacock herl right here for the butt end. And that's all I need for it is one good wrap. Secure that in place. And take my tag end off of it. So the next thing that goes in is our ribbing, which is a finer gold tinsel. That we will use here. Secure that out of the way. Now the body is yellow wool, as was recommended by Ray Bergman. It's not a big, heavy body. It's a light body. We get our wool here ready to go and started. Get it nice and pulled tight. It makes a nice smooth body going up. Right here. Any extra, I can just move up the hook and trim off. This body can also be done with yellow floss. It'll be just as good. So the next thing I want to do is take my ribbing now and move that forward. Try to get 5, maybe 6 even turns as I go forward with it. Right there. Again, I'm going to tie this here, off here. Take my tag end of that off. The next thing that goes on is the beard hackle, which is a mixture of red and white neck feathers. I want that just to be equal to from right behind the eye to right there at the point of the hook. I'm going to add one more tie here in front of this to sort of keep it so it stands up. And that looks real good right there. Secure that in there, then I can take all the tag ends off of that. And it all came loose. Let's try that one more time. I didn't have it quite as secure as I thought I had it. Now, let's add one more here, like this, to keep it up in the air. From behind it right here. Now, let's take the tags. Let's take the tags off of here, like this, and we have a nice hackle there. So the last thing to go on is the married wing, which is also red and white. And we're going to do this in reverse fashion. So I want to get it right in here. Again, I'm going to take the thread here and run it counterclockwise just a little bit to flatten it out. I'm going to bring it up and catch it between my thumb and my index finger and hold it tight so I can hold this here. And then I'm going to let that pull my feather right on top of the hook, right on the shank. And we'll give it one more try to get it tied in there where it's not going anywhere. And then we'll take it right here in front of it. Now I can take my tag end off of that and create the head of my fly. Here. A couple more turns to flatten this out a little bit more. Good. Now I can do a nice whip finish on here. The second one just to make sure I've got everything in place. That's in there. So now I'm going to trim my wing up to make sure it's the right length and get a nice angle on it. So it goes back to the bend of the hook. And I've got a nice feather there. And there you have the Parmachene Belle. The only thing I have left to do now is take and just put a light coat of UV glue on my head. And this fly is complete. And that one drop is enough to take this all the way around here and seal up that feather real well. We'll hit it with UV glue for about 30 seconds to a minute. That will seal it up. And there you have the Parmachene Belle.